My name is Matt, lead pastor here at Rooftop. Did someone just say hi to me? Hi back, yeah. Thank you for coming, especially if you're visiting. We love visitors. We're honored to have guests here at Rooftop, so we're really grateful that you're here. If you're visiting, please fill out that info card so we can send you a nice gift and let you know how grateful we are. We've got a prayer time this morning. We have this prayer time on the first Sunday of every month, and we want to have a prayer time together as we normally do. And I also want to invite you to the prayer meeting this Wednesday, and the prayer team is eager to pray for you. So we'll get to our prayer time in a second. But first, I want to tell you about my friend Will. You actually might know Will. Will and his wife Rochelle were longtime Rooftoppers. Give a shout out to Will and Rochelle. They're not here, but if you know Will and Rochelle, if they're on YouTube, hello, Will and Rochelle. Will served as an elder here for many years. They actually moved back to Oklahoma 2 summers ago. But I remember many, many years ago when Will first strode into Rooftop that first time with his Oklahoma strut. We were still meeting at the time at the community center up in Richmond Heights. We were barely a few months old as a church. But I still remember seeing Will's face in the crowd that Sunday morning. He couldn't figure Rooftop out. He had grown up in the church. He was a Christian, but he had gotten pretty burned by church politics and Christian hypocrisy. You know how that works. So when he got to St. Louis for law school, he knew that he should probably get involved in a church, but he was determined not to get too involved in a church, and he was really determined not to enjoy it. But a strange thing happened when he showed up to Rooftop. What happened? He enjoyed it. You could tell it was different. We were relaxed. We were sincere. We took Jesus very seriously, but we didn't take ourselves too seriously. We were very committed to preaching very uncomfortable truths from the Bible in a very comfortable way. That's sort of Rooftop in a nutshell. We preach very uncomfortable truths from Scripture in a very comfortable setting, in a very comfortable way. Will got intrigued. He got involved. He made friends. He became an elder. Over 9 years or so, he realized that the church, for all its flaws, isn't something that just needs to be tolerated and endured. It needs to be celebrated. It needs to be built up. Well, like I said, Will moved away, but the elders here at Rooftop actually brought Will back 3 months ago. You see, the Rooftop elders, you know this, we're trying to figure out Rooftop's next steps as a congregation. We're looking for another building. We're trying to figure out God's vision for our church. We've been trying to do this for years. So we needed to get away from life for a couple days to retreat and talk and pray and debate these things. We actually asked Will to come back and facilitate our retreat just because he's good at that. Having Will there was very helpful because he had been to Rooftop for a long time. Then he had gone away, and then he came back. He had a pretty good perspective. Will and his family are actually going to a church down in Oklahoma. They have a new church home. But over the course of the retreat, I asked him, how's your new church home going? Kind of shrugged his shoulders. He said, eh. So what do you mean, eh? It's the church, You got to love the church. It's like it's just not Rooftop. I'm like, well, I know it's not Rooftop. There's only one Rooftop. But, your standards are too high. Everybody loves, their old church when they're looking for a new church. That's kind of just how that works. And so, yeah, I know my standards are pretty high, but the world just needs more churches like Rooftop. I actually think Will's overstating that a little bit. The world doesn't need more churches like Rooftop. The world needs more churches like Jesus. But either way, at a retreat, Will helped remind us of what our vision was when we started this church. When we started Rooftop 12 years ago, we wanted to grow this church so that we could start other churches around St. Louis. We didn't want it to just end here. We wanted to keep growing. The problem is that we're just out of space here. We're out of space in our kids' rooms. We're out of space in our office space. We can't do anything else on Sunday morning, like offer Bible studies for adults or youth groups. Just can't do that. This is a normal Sunday for us, and it's pretty packed here at this service. So on a high-volume Sunday, it's just really uncomfortable for visitors or even for regulars. We really do want to grow the church. We get started the churches. We want to grow so we can sow. Like that, grow, sow. Not sow. Sow, is this how you sow? But in order to grow, sure, you guys don't know. In order to grow so we can sow, what do we got to do? We got to go. Now we're rhyming. In order to grow so we can sow, we got to go. We got to find another place. We got to find another place to meet where we can grow into, where we can keep doing. But we've been looking. We haven't found anything. We've looked at this. We've looked at that. They're just not what we need. Well, after 2 years of looking at different places and buildings in which to meet, we think we have something. This past week, the elders went out and bought you a new building. Technically speaking, this is a gross overstatement because we haven't bought anything. To be entirely precise, we have come to an agreement with owners of a property and building to buy it when certain conditions are met. But it's enough of a deal that we want to let you know about. We've actually looked at this building before. 1 year ago, we even told you about it. It's an old abandoned synagogue on Highway 40, just east of 270. We liked it so much last year that we even made an offer on it, but the owners were like here, and we were like, here, and it just wasn't going to work out. Plus, it's far away, and we thought this is just not worth the expense. We decided to pass it up. At our retreat a few months ago, though, we were just recommitted to our vision here for St. Louis. We really do want to build this church, grow this church so that we can start other churches in the city, in South County, in West County, maybe back here in Afton. We really do want to grow this church so we can start other churches. And we realized if that really is our vision, which it is, this is an ideal building and location from which to do it. I mean, the building itself is the best building we've looked at. Let me tell you a little bit about the building itself. It's 4 times as big. It's as much building as we'll ever need without being too much. It's got an expandable sanctuary that can sit 300 or 450, just depends on where the walls fall. It's got an auditorium with a stage and a full kitchen. It's got room to expand on 6 acres. Right now we're on 1.75 acres. It's got 6 acres if you want to ever add on to it. It's got over 10 large classrooms. It's got a separate space for youth. It's got a chapel for a separate space for youth. I emphasize separate space for youth. It's got a chapel for small functions. It's got office space. All right, the staff has been operating without office space for several years. It's got kids. Ready for this? Kids, listening? Or have I lost you already? 2 playgrounds. And plenty, 2 playgrounds. All right. It's got enough grass and greenery for an actual kickball field, so you're not kicking the ball into the cars. It's got 3 sets of bathrooms. It's got a driveway drop-off. It's got a coat room. It is in excellent condition. It's got everything we need to do all sorts of things that we can't do now and in the future unless we move there. Plus, it is incredibly central. It is a minute away from one of the busiest intersections in the state at 40 and 270. Okay, if our goal is to be able to reach to all of St. Louis, keep doing this. If our goal is to be able to reach to all of St. Louis so that we can start churches all over St. Louis, this is where we want to be. We are at the epicenter, I think it's called epicenter, the epicenter of the region. It's about 25 minutes from every corner of St. Louis. Also, it is incredibly accessible. It's not like central but hard to get to. It's central but easy to get to. It's not like you get off the highway, you go left here, you turn right at the water tower, you go over the train tracks, go 10 minutes this way, behind the Quick Trip, there's an old oak tree and the church is right there. It's not like that. It's like you get off the highway, turn left, and boom. Those words. You get off the highway, turn left, and boom. Plus, it's affordable. The owners were sick of having it on the market. They wanted to sell. Last year they were here. This year they're here. If we were to build this building on that land from scratch, we'd have to spend between $4 and $5 million. We're getting it for about $2.2 million. That is an incredible deal. Now, I know this is a complicated announcement. I mean, this information, everybody's going to have a different response to this information. There's plenty of pros. I mean, we're going to hear about the pros over and over and over again over the next few months. We are well aware, though, that there are also plenty of cons. Cons like distance and cost. Are we ready for this? Are we ready to leave Afton? What are the cons here? We have thought thoroughly. We have debated and argued over these cons. We've even invented new cons just to make sure we're being thorough and responsible. And we want to address all those cons, too. We also know that this information elicits all sorts of questions. Questions that I'm sure are flying through your mind even as we speak. When will we move? When will we open? Probably late summer. Questions like, is this a done deal? Well, we think so, but things fall apart all the time. So we have to be prayerful and enduring. Questions like, are we going to make renovations? I mean, there's Jewish stuff everywhere. I played Tevye in Fiddler on the Roof, so I'm familiar with that. We're not going to be able to make renovations immediately. We want to eventually, but for a while, we're just going to have to channel our inner Hebrew. What about the food pantry? I mean, there's some stuff around here that we want to stay committed to. There's a food pantry right down the road. There's hungry people who need Rooftop. Are we going to just kind of abandon them? Absolutely not. I mean, why would we do that? We want to stay involved. If they'll let us stay involved, we want to stay involved. There's a nursing home right off the road. We're going to kind of leave them? No, why would we do that? They need us. We wouldn't want to do that. Questions like, what's happening to this church? There is another great church that really needs a building, and they want our church. We're thrilled that they can have it. Questions like, how is Sally's cleaning team going to clean 29,000 square feet of building? I have no idea. Ask Sally. That's up to her. All sorts of questions. And to be entirely frank, I know plenty of you are asking yourselves a question too. Is this a move you want to make with us? I mean, our vision as a church, our vision as an elder team is to go so we can grow, so we can sow. That's what we want to do. We're committed to doing that. Is that your vision? Maybe it isn't. We don't know what your vision is. Maybe you don't know what your vision is. This is something you want to be a part of. That's an important question you're going to have to be able to ask and answer for yourselves. There is much to talk about. We will get to all of it. We'll talk about it very thoroughly over the next several months. At the outset, though, we want to give you every bit of information that we have at the time so that you have plenty to think about and consider. Along those lines, we have for you a mega brochure. It started out just as a normal brochure, but has become a mega brochure. A mega brochure including all types of pictures, reasons for the move, pros, cons, FAQs, all the details we have, and a friendly letter from yours truly. This mega brochure can be yours for the simple cost of reaching out your arm, reaching down into the bin at the back of the sanctuary, picking it up and taking it home and reading it. It's that easy. Everyone will have their own response to this move one way or another. We understand and respect that. We just want to give you everything you need to know so you can make up your mind about that. I mean, I have my own response as well. Just so you know, I'm thrilled about this move. I think it's a fantastic opportunity. I think it's great for St. Louis. I think it's great for Rooftop. I think it's great for all the wills around the region that are looking for a church like this one. I think it's fantastic. In fact, I think it's great for everybody, maybe except for my family. I live 3 minutes that way. I drive 3 minutes to work. Now I'll be driving 20 every day, because, you know, I work here. You drive here once a week. 20 minutes that way, 10 miles. I mean, that's inconvenient. Plus, if this doesn't work, and it might not, there's no guarantees to anything, right? If this doesn't work, you guys will have to find a new church. The staff will have to find new employment. I mean, of course there's risk here. For us especially. I mean, every time God asks his people to step out in faith, there is risk. There has to be. Otherwise, it wouldn't be faith. I mean, when Michelle and I moved to St. Louis 12 years ago to start this church, we had nothing. No guarantees of anything. We had no job security. We had no savings account. We had no place to live. I mean, we were living, me and my new wife and my firstborn son were living in my sister's old bedroom in my parents' house. Imagine how humiliating it is to be living in your sister's old bedroom. We had nothing. It was pink. I made fun of it for the duration of my life, and then I was living in it. I had nothing. All we had was a crazy idea that St. Louis needed a church that took Jesus seriously. That's all we had. But we knew it was worth the risk. Here we are. It worked. We got another crazy idea of moving 10 miles away so we can grow the church and keep starting other churches around St. Louis, maybe one back here. It's a crazy idea. Is it worth the risk to see if it can work? I absolutely think it's worth the risk. I'm in charge here, and I'll be the most affected if it doesn't work. I absolutely think it's worth the risk. You will have to make that decision for yourself. We will pray for you and support you and give you every bit of information you need in order to make that call. So let's go ahead and pray for you, for the church, for St. Louis, and then we'll continue on with the message. Father, I thank you for giving your people vision, vision to which there is no guarantee. I thank you for giving us dreams about growing and building your kingdom, dreams so crazy that it will only take your strength, your spirit, and your support. Thank you for everyone's attentiveness here this morning. I pray for them as they take this information in and contemplate prayerfully their own role in this. This isn't just you calling the elders. This is you calling your own people here at Rooftop into the future. Help us continue to be humble to be open to each other and to your will and your voice. Thank you so much for your son, Jesus, whose message is so eternally important that it's worth any risk we might take. I pray these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, and the power of your Holy Spirit. Amen.